Forget idyllic Ireland with its leprechauns and Guinness. Beneath those green hills lies a grim reality, a past filled with brutal, organized crime. From ruthless gang wars to merciless drug lords, Ireland has seen it all. The journey through the dangerous streets of Dublin, the gang wars in Limerick, and international drug cartels like the infamous Kinahan cartel, which even brought the FBI to its knees, paints a vivid picture of the dark world of Irish crime families. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss an update on our latest investigations. So, let's get started. In the early 1900s, New York City was a melting pot of immigrants struggling to survive. In this setting, Paul Kelly, an Italian-American determined to become the king of the underworld, emerged. Born Paolo Antonio Vaccarelli, Kelly founded the 5 Points Gang, which would dominate the city's crime scene. Kelly didn't build his empire alone. He started with a tough crew, mostly Italians, who weren't afraid to get their hands dirty. These weren't playground scuffles, but battles for territory, and the 5 Points Gang wasn't afraid to take a few lumps to win. Kelly was smarter than just a brawl-happy hoodlum. He saw how other gangs like the Dead Rabbits and the Bowery Boys were getting muscled out, so he did something unexpected. He absorbed them. The 5 Points Gang became a melting pot of immigrants, with Jews, Poles, and Eastern Europeans all finding a place under Kelly's not-so-gentle leadership. Kelly realized that real power came from the top, so he started throwing his weight behind certain politicians, convincing voters to see things his way. The 5 Points Gang wasn't just about violence and intimidation. Kelly opened a swanky club called the New Brighton Athletic Club, becoming a labor racketeer, using his muscle to influence disputes. By the 1920s, the 5 Points Gang's reign was slowly fading, with new players like the rising mafia families flexing their muscles. Kelly himself passed away in 1936, but his legacy lived on in the rise of the American mafia. In the 1960s, Hell's Kitchen was far from peaceful. Mickey Spillane, a local boy made good in a bad way, was running the show. Spillane wasn't your average thug. He ran operations involving loan sharking, beatdowns, and even kidnapping. Spillane's operation wasn't all sunshine and roses, as his actions led to numerous violent confrontations. However, Spillane wasn't alone. Jimmy Coonan, a young hothead with a score to settle, entered the scene. Their feud escalated quickly, with machine guns raining down from rooftops and kidnappings becoming a neighborhood pastime. Spillane married into a powerful political family, giving him more control over union jobs and a job at a new convention center. The Italian mafia saw the convention center as a golden opportunity, but Spillane's stubbornness led to the Irish-Italian War, a conflict that proved the Irish might be outnumbered but not outmatched. Spillane's luck eventually ran out, and he was killed by a hitman working for Coonan, who then became the boss of Hell's Kitchen. Coonan allied with the powerful Gambino crime family, getting involved in illegal activities like waste management. However, the feds eventually caught wind of Coonan's operations, leading to the downfall of his crew. The 1990s saw changes in Hell's Kitchen, with the neighborhood becoming more diverse and the old Irish mob scene fading. A Serbian immigrant, Bosko Ranit, briefly took over the Westies but fled the country due to legal troubles. By 2012, the Westies were mostly a memory, though rumors of their resurgence circulated. In Boston, 2 Irish gangs, the McLeans and the Winter Hill Gang, were at odds. A feud started when Georgie McLean made a move on a Winter Hill gang member's girlfriend, leading to violence and escalating into a full-blown gang war. This war left over 60 people dead by 1967, with the Winter Hill Gang emerging victorious. In the late 1970s, the Winter Hill Gang was struggling financially, leading them to borrow money from the Italian mob and get involved in drug trafficking. This ultimately led to the downfall of their leadership. Whitey Bulger and Stephen Flemmi then took over, running the gang more like a group of tough guys rather than organized criminals. Despite their unorthodox methods, Bulger managed to amass a fortune and even got involved with the IRA, smuggling weapons and raising money for their cause. While the Winter Hill Gang dominated Boston's criminal scene, their influence didn't extend far beyond the eastern seaboard. The Boston Irish Gang War was a brutal conflict that claimed numerous lives. Both sides, the McLean Gang and the Winter Hill Gang, were relentless in their pursuit of dominance. By the mid-1960s, the violence had escalated to such an extent that the FBI began to take a keen interest, particularly due to the gang's involvement in various illicit activities, including gambling, extortion, and drug trafficking. Amidst the chaos, a new figure emerged, who would become one of the most infamous criminals in American history: James Whitey Bulger. Bulger, who initially started as a low-level enforcer, quickly rose through the ranks of the Winter Hill Gang. His ascent to power was marked by a combination of ruthless violence and shrewd alliances. Bulger's reign was characterized by his ability to play both sides of the law. He became a top-echelon FBI informant, providing information on rival gangsters while using his FBI connections to eliminate competition and protect his own operations. This dual role allowed him to operate with near impunity for decades, making him one of the most feared and untouchable crime bosses in Boston. Bulger's downfall began in the mid-1990s when his FBI handler, John Connolly, came under investigation for his corrupt dealings. In 1995, Bulger went on the run, evading capture for 16 years. He was finally apprehended in 2011 in Santa Monica, California, living a quiet life under an assumed identity. His arrest brought an end to one of the longest and most notorious manhunts in FBI history. In 2013, Bulger was convicted of numerous crimes, including 11 murders, and sentenced to life in prison, where he was killed by fellow inmates in 2018. The Kinahan Cartel, one of the most powerful and dangerous criminal organizations to emerge from Ireland, traces its origins back to the late 20th century. Founded by Christy Kinahan, also known as Dapper Don, the cartel initially focused on drug trafficking within Ireland. However, it quickly expanded its operations internationally, establishing a significant presence in the UK, Spain, and beyond. The Kinahan cartel's expansion was facilitated by its sophisticated network and its ability to form alliances with other major criminal organizations. This allowed them to control a substantial portion of the European drug trade, trafficking cocaine, heroin, and cannabis on an unprecedented scale. A major turning point for the cartel came with the outbreak of the Hutch-Kinahan feud, one of the most violent gang conflicts in modern Irish history. The feud began in 2015, following the murder of Gary Hutch, a member of the Hutch family, allegedly by the Kinahan cartel. This sparked a series of retaliatory killings, resulting in numerous deaths and escalating violence across Dublin and beyond. The feud drew significant attention from law enforcement agencies worldwide, leading to increased efforts to dismantle the Kinahan cartel. The cartel's operations were severely disrupted by international police cooperation, resulting in numerous arrests and substantial drug seizures. The Kinahan cartel's influence extended far beyond Ireland's borders. In 2020, the U.S. government imposed sanctions on several key members of the cartel, designating them as significant international narcotics traffickers. This was a significant blow to the cartel's operations, as it severely restricted their ability to conduct financial transactions and maintain their network. Despite these efforts, the Kinahan cartel remains a formidable force in the world of organized crime. Its leaders, operating from safe havens in the Middle East and other regions, continue to wield considerable power and influence over the global drug trade. While the Kinahan cartel represents the most high-profile example of contemporary Irish organized crime, numerous other crime families and gangs continue to operate across Ireland and the Irish diaspora. These groups have adapted to the changing landscape of criminal activity, diversifying their operations to include cybercrime, human trafficking, and money laundering. The legacy of Irish organized crime is one of adaptability and resilience. Despite significant law enforcement efforts, these criminal organizations have demonstrated a remarkable ability to evolve and survive in the face of adversity. Their deep-rooted connections within their communities and their ability to leverage international networks have enabled them to remain a persistent threat. In recent years, there have been notable successes in the fight against Irish organized crime. High-profile arrests, Substantial drug seizures and successful prosecutions have disrupted many criminal networks. However, the continuous emergence of new groups and the adaptability of existing ones mean that the battle is far from over.